two kinds of fear. The fear of seeing something, and the fear of realizing it has been watching you the whole time. I grew up in a small fishing town on the coast of Maine. Every summer, my friends and I spent almost every afternoon jumping off an old wooden dock about a mile away from the harbor. The dock had been abandoned for years. Its wood was rotten. Half the boards were missing. And every time the waves hit the support beams, the entire structure groaned like it was alive. None of us cared, until one afternoon, an old fisherman slowly walked toward us. He looked at the water beneath the dock and quietly said, "Whatever you do, don't swim underneath it." One of my friends laughed. "Why?" The old man didn't answer. He simply turned around and left. For the next few weeks, nothing happened. We forgot about him. Then one Saturday, my cousin Ethan came to visit. He was 12, the kind of kid who thought every warning was a challenge. Within minutes of arriving at the dock, he smiled and said, "I'm going to swim underneath it." We told him not to. He laughed, then disappeared beneath the wooden platform. 5 seconds. 10. 15. Then he came back up, but something was wrong. His face had turned completely white. He wasn't joking anymore. He climbed onto the dock without saying a single word. When I asked what happened, he whispered, "Someone touched my leg." We all assumed it was seaweed, or maybe a fish, so we ignored it, until the next weekend. This time, I was the one swimming. The water was calm. Too calm. I floated near the edge of the dock when I suddenly felt something brush against my ankle. At first, I thought it was a rope. Then, it tightened. For just 1 second. Not enough to pull me under. Just enough to let me know something was there. I kicked as hard as I could and shot back to the surface. When I looked down into the dark water, I couldn't see anything. Just blackness. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I kept imagining a hand reaching up from beneath the dock. The next morning, I went back. Not because I was brave, because I wanted proof. I borrowed an underwater camera from a neighbor and tied it to a rope. Standing on the dock, I slowly lowered it into the water. 10 feet, 15, 20, nothing. Just old wooden beams covered in algae. I started pulling the camera back up. Halfway, the rope suddenly jerked, hard, like someone had grabbed it. I nearly lost my balance when I finally pulled the camera onto the dock. The screen had cracked, but one frame, one single frame, was still visible. It showed one of the support pillars, and wrapped around it were what looked like two impossibly pale hands. Long fingers, too long to belong to any human. No body, just hands. I showed the picture to my grandfather. He stared at it for a long time, then quietly said, "That's why nobody fishes here anymore." The next week, the dock burned down. Officials blamed old electrical wiring, which didn't make much sense, because the dock hadn't had electricity in decades. Today, nothing remains except a few broken posts sticking out of the ocean. Sometimes, local fishermen still avoid that area, not because they're afraid of drowning, but because, on calm mornings, people claim they can still see two pale hands wrapped around the old wooden posts, waiting for someone to swim a little too close. Some places aren't abandoned because people forgot them. They're abandoned because something else never left.